some good mastery of the deck in the 1-game sample size that we saw on stream yesterday in his 3-0 win versus No Hands. So we'll see if he can get it up here against, again, what seems like a pretty tough matchup, right? If you never hit Immolation Aura, you will just die. And even if you do, if you don't hit the second one, you'll probably die. It's very reliant on just having those cards early to get rid of the first couple waves, and then hope that you can find the lethal damage before they're able to build up another board.
All right, well, let's have at it. Early game does lead to an Immolation Aura immediately for Nalguidan, as the double jump also picks up the Skull of Gul'dan. You don't really get the opportunity to greed nearly as hard as you would like. Nalguidan not going to skip a beat. Philosophy not playable really in this spot here. Unless Nalguidan, of course, wants to find ways to free up his hand space. Finds an opportunity to draw a card to the Crimson Sigil Runner immediately. Does end up picking that, as the other cards are a lot more situational. You have to hold on to it.
They will never catch me.
Yeah, might as well just keep cycling. Has very easy ways to get that skull in the middle of the hand to the far left. Dothraki Warblades, dumpable next turn. Immolation Aura, dumpable as soon as your opponent builds up a board. So he's on his way to a skull, has a way to deal with the first board. This is the kind of hand that you want to see when you're playing against Token Druid as OTK Demon Hunter. Honestly, this is one of the kind of hands you'd like to see versus just about anything. An easily outcastable skull in the opening hand, so you can plan around it, and some removal to go along with it.
Yep, very much so. Safety and card draw, pretty much the two priorities for Demon Hunters. Now, picks up Chaos Strike, not really something that he is focused on right now because he wants to set up things for that Skull of Gul'dan, use that opportunity. While there's some passivity, set up his weapon. I like it. It's not always about just turbo drawing as best as you can. Set yourself up for success moving forward. Killen picks up Power of the Wild. Does have 6 mana available this turn because of the Lightning Bloom and the Innervate. Doesn't have the board set up behind it. Does he have the desire to even go for additional card draw when he's holding 9 cards at the moment? It's a little bit awkward in that department too.
Yeah, the biggest thing is killinallday is going to be thinking about Immolation Aura as a potential clear. And especially the first board, you want to kind of soft test for it, right? I don't expect an all-in here. I just expect a Gibberling plus an amount of minions that forces Nalguidan to be scared and want to play Immolation Aura.
Right. Using an Innervate as well.
Okay. So a pretty aggressive use of resources, but again, you just want to make sure that you're putting out enough stuff to say, all right, you have to play Immolation Aura here, or I'm going to punish you a lot.
Yeah, an Immolation Aura is an opening hand. Something Killen was completely aware of the possibility. Now finds the Glowfly Swarm. Doesn't have the cleanest way to set it up because of Lightning Bloom. He just uses Innervate, rather just use Fungal Fortunes. Plus he's holding 2 minions into his hand. Solar Eclipse. A second Glowfly Swarm. An opportunity to layer this now that one form of AoE has been used in the Immolation Aura. Now Nalguidan, his game plan is pretty straightforward. How can he best it up the Skull? Cards like Acrobatics are going to be filling up his hand, so he just has to make sure that his hand space isn't challenged for next turn.
Yeah. He can always dump the Ethereal Aug Merchant. It is one of the redundant pieces of the combo, right? Absolutely not necessary to hold on to that. So he could use the Ethereal Aug Merchant to kill the Marshall Cub that's on the board, and then just Hero Power, and then have the hand space next turn to be able to play the Skull still, because you draw a card, be it 8, play the Skull, and have perfect amount of hand space, and will likely find a dumpable card from the Skull next turn. Could also dump the philosophy because he's got a second one. Okay, yep. Got a second one in the deck. There's no Morg. It's not really going to be played anytime soon unless he picked up exactly Morg, discounted from the Skull of Gul'dan. So I like the aggressive hand expenditure here. Just gives him some wiggle room if he doesn't pick up a card that he's feels comfortable dumping from the Skull the next turn.
And then from Killen's side, I mean, it's heavily, extremely telegraphed what Nalguidan's going to be doing. Killinallday knows exactly what cards on the far left from Nalguidan's hand. So how can he best capitalize now that Skull of Gul'dan is coming down guaranteed next turn with that kind of hand dump? He can play he has 8 mana this turn, so he has the ability to play the Glowfly Swarm. And then next turn, if Nalguidan plays Skull of Gul'dan and not do anything else, oh my gosh. See, now, from Nalguidan's perspective, he doesn't have to play Skull. He can just wipe and move on.
Honestly, I think you still play Skull.
Okay.
He can clear off 2 minions and take 0 damage without playing Immolation Aura. It's going to be harder and harder to play Skull, because let's say he plays Immolation Aura here. He's not developing a big enough board to challenge whatever's going to come out, and then he's pigeonholing himself to Skull the next turn. Which means if Killen redevelops again, which I think is likely at this point, the way Killen mulliganed, then he no longer has any ways to clear that board, right? He's completely out of Immolation Aura, so he'd have to 100% rely on Fellscream Blast. It looks like he moused over Fellscream Blast? Okay, this is kind of an in-between where he's not using enough, or he's making sure that he's not going to be dead to Solar Eclipse Arbor Up, which is there for Killen, but also not parting ways with the Immolation Aura, so I think this is wise.
I think so, because Killen would kill. If Nalguidan plays Skull and whiffed, he would die. Straight up. There's just too much pressure, I think, with the Solar Eclipse. The fact that Killen has played 2 of the Fungal Fortunes to draw. I mean, just look at what's happening, right? Nalguidan has dedicated the greater part of his deck to drawing cards from his deck. And he's still just barely ahead in card draw, despite aiming everything to just draw cards at the moment. Killen not going to be stopped. Setting up this board, Solar Eclipse. And the Arbor Up. Putting full amounts of pressure. But that's kind of what Nalguidan was hoping to save his Immolation Aura for, right? For a board wipe like this.
Yeah, and that's why the last turn was incredibly smart. From Nalguidan, because Killen could have gone for a play like this last turn, had the ability to go super huge with Gibberling and Lunar Eclipse plus Arbor Up, or sorry, Solar Eclipse plus Arbor Up, but wanted to test for that second Immolation Aura and didn't see it. Now though, that is the last way for Nalguidan to clear the board, because he can't afford to use his second Fellscream Blast in order to hold on to that for the combo, and also has no Immolation Auras left, so he can try and pick apart things one by one, but it's going to be a little bit difficult, and we'll have to just use so many resources in order to get that done.
Yeah, does end up picking up Il'gynoth at full cost. If it was the 1 card down, getting the ability to discount it would be huge. Finds Moarg, so a Philosophy to copy that would be massive. Raging Fell Screamer, not super impactful now that Moarg is already costing 0. Looking at that Illidari studies to see if Nalguidan wants to find something additional this turn to potentially play, or if he's okay just letting it chill so they could use Illidari studies perhaps for another big outcast on 9 mana. So this is a situation for Nalguidan that he has to navigate carefully. Also, something worth considering is if he wants to part ways with one of these eye beams, just to ensure that there's no follow-up from Killinallday to cement his board position and maybe lock things up.
Time grows short.
Yeah, this is a pretty tough situation to be in. He's seen Solar Eclipse and Arboron. The likelihood that another one is there is pretty low. So I don't think he has to like double I-Beam here. Could just play like Raging Fell Screamer and then have that be able to challenge the board on the following turns. Let's see what kind of like lethal possibilities Nalguidan has. Il'gynoth, if he picked up another Moarg off the top or Philosophy, that'd be a +2 spell damage I-Beam, so 5 double twice. That'd be 20. And then he could use that on the top minion and Hero Power and attack phase for 26. So a potential lethal off the top for Nalguidan next turn if he picks up a way to get another Moarg.
Killen picks up Nature Studies. The guessed away does not land as he guessed more and end up being a card that was not. Nature Studies. Ooh. With an opportunity for resizing pouch, Cenarian Ward, Mark of the Spike Shell, which is funny because Mark of the Spike Shell situationally actually has an opportunity to combo with Thorngrowth Sentries. But more specifically from Killen, how does he manipulate resizing pouch? He's going to play this Arbor up, it seems like.
Yeah, he could have gone resizing pouch there and tried to hit Soul of the Forest, but because of how resizing pouch works, it's not just discover a spell, it's discover a card. So there's a lot of 4-mana minions that are clogging up the pool. Just a little rough. And now Nalguidan is facing death if he doesn't find ways to clear this up. Just Moarg, Talented Arcanist, and I-Beam is a way to heal up, but would only remove 3 minions on the board in that case, and Killen would likely be able to find lethal following turn. If he skulls, his mana is limited, but he has a Raging Fell Screamer buff, which would matter if he picked up Moarg anyway, so whatever. And then would still be able to play just about any other card in this situation.
Illidari Studies. A Dreadlord's Bite. Is that applicable here at all? Dealing 1 damage to all enemies.
I wonder what he was looking
like it.
There had to be something specific that he was looking for to not want to play Skull.
Oof.
Maybe he was looking for Fellscream Blast specifically, but then he would have just played Skull because he would have had to clear with Fellscream Blast. I'm not always sure. Okay, it does find Fellscream Blast.
For times calls for desperate measures. Trying to clear off as much of the board as possible. This is survival mode here for Nalguidan. It's not optimal whatsoever. Good news, most of the board has been tamed. The bad news, if he loses his board state, Nalguidan has no chance to win, really, it feels like. This is down to just 2 cards remaining in his deck.
Yeah, it is Philosophy and Moarg. So Philosophy Moarg, a double Moarged I-Beam, is still 12 damage. So if some of these minions stick, which Druid not known for their ability to clear boards, then maybe he can push enough minion damage. If another Moarg sticks, then all of a sudden that I-Beam becomes 24 damage. So he put the spell damage on the Talented Arcanist as well, which is smart because that's the minion that you're least likely to want to clear. Small things, but could matter in the long run, squeezing out those little bits of extra damage. Because he's guaranteed the last 2 cards, right? He's guaranteed that extra because he has Chaos Strike. So whatever he picks up, he will be able to double up.
Just has to pick apart the remainders of the board that can help Nalguidan pull out this game. 6 power remains. Puts Killen at 25 because of the hero power. So with 4 remaining, excuse me, as he does end up eliminating the Og Merchant. Nalguidan has, you said the 12, plus the Chaos Strike, plus the hero power, plus the minions attacking. That's just not enough.
Not enough. He would need recurring damage, which these Moargs are big, right? And he's going to be clearing some of the board. He's just hoping that these minions are going to be sticking. Il'gynoth is also just representing 4 extra damage a turn for when it attacks. So, Killen's not out of this yet. This is still winnable for Nalguidan since Druid is just super light on removal. I think the resizing pouch is going to be the big deal here. But there are multiple ways for Killen to get this rolling. Umbral Owl is 7. So he could Solar Eclipse resizing pouch, have 2 chances to hit Umbral Owl, which alongside Pride's Fury would be enough to at least clear off the Boargs and take some damage off board.
2 pouches. Using a pouch for 9.
Rush and Taunt. Fizzy Elemental.
Elemental.
That's sick. All right, that just wins.
That's the answer. Fizzy Elemental. Oh, boy. I mean, Nalguidan just got stalled right there and then.
Yeah.
So now Nalguidan's hope is that the Moar can get there? No, there's no way. Concedes. killinallday gets the win, up 1-0. Removing the OTK Demon Hunter from this series as well, which is got to feel good. That's definitely a deck that has a lot of people sweating. But also on the other side of things, we just witnessed a Token Druid get swept. And so it feels like Token Druid was due for a victory there. And killinallday stuck to his guns, able to just barely layer everything in time and remove everything. I gotta say that Nalguidan hung in there for a long time, and I look forward to seeing threads about whether or not this was a winnable game for the Demon Hunter, because it definitely felt like there were opportunities for Nalguidan to set up for a combo, but it just felt like, you know, I definitely followed his line of play and almost like felt like the same kind of thing that Nalguidan needed to stabilize and try to get there anyways. Was this just a Doom game, or was there an opening, DJ?
I think the opening was to take a risk at some point, but he would have lost if he did that, right? So the way he played it was the way that he didn't die. It was getting super greedy with removal and combo pieces. Like actually playing the Skull on 6 instead of going for the like Blood Mage Fell Screen Blast to try and clean up the board. Because at some point you're going to have to leave yourself open to certain combinations of lethal. And in that situation, you know, maybe he is supposed to just go for Skull and then just lose, right? Because of it, because he would have taken two minions off the board, but then would have died to exactly 30 damage from Solar Eclipse Arbor up. So from how the game panned out, I just really don't think there was too many pan-outs where he could have won. killinallday just seemed like he had too many board sweeps. And I do like the creative play at the end to try and go for minion-based pressure, because if Killen didn't have Lunar Eclipse in that situation, or wasn't able to find any pieces of removal, or whiffed on the resizing pouches there at the end, maybe Nalguidan gets there with just the damage that's on board and just the minions that were on board. So very close game. But now killinallday's turn to go to the OTK Demon Hunter. And Nalguidan's going to move to Spell Mage. And it is Deck of Lunacy Spell Mage. It does seem like more and more players each week have opted to not bring Deck of Lunacy. But 2 players in the top 8, Luna and Eddie, did not bring Deck of Lunacy for reference. But Nalguidan decided to go for it, and his win rate with Mage this season has been incredibly impressive. He brought it in both weeks of Specialist. It's been in his Conquest and last year's standing lineups pretty much every week, because he always yells at me for getting his win rate wrong. He is he's 26-11 on Spell Mage this season, which is
not bad.
It's crisp. It is crisp.
Very
and
good.
If that's wrong, I blame Lorinda. So Nalguidan, don't tweet at me if it's wrong.
Yeah, blame Lorinda. I think Lorinda kind of likes being blamed.
Curiosity.
One of those like
will be the end of you.
things where, you know, Captain Jack Sparrow, it's like, you are without a doubt the worst statistician I have ever met or I've ever heard of.
Well, you have heard of me.
But you have heard of me.
Yep.
That being said, of course, Lorinda is killing it. Really, that he's been able to to work on Hearthstone Grandmasters for Americas and filling in for when I'm not available.
So I looked at
And
the wrong
Lorinda
day.
says the stats were wrong.
No, that was my fault. I looked at the wrong day. He's right. I had the Friday tab open. Nalguidan did pick up one win yesterday, so he's 27 and 11. All right, Nalguidan. If 26 and 11 is wrong, which it is, you can blame me. Sure, that's the first part of your tweet. If 27 and 11 is wrong, then you blame Lorinda. That's the second part of the tweet.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Hopping on board into these opening hands. Nalguidan starting things off with a font of power and just more resource generation. Having an opportunity to set up one of these spell damaged minions. I think about Imprisoned Phoenix a lot in this deck, and I think about it, the more I played it, the less I actually enjoy playing the Phoenix. I feel like a lot of times the Mage needs to have an answer immediately. Ends up playing an Astromancer Solarian instead, despite the fact that it might be a card that disrupts certain effects like the Pexus Blast, but one Font of Power has been already used, and we have seen several players do this and it pan out well. Not to mention, Nalguidan has cards like Deck of Lunacy, which he's been also an advocate of just playing whenever you can, even in matches where you feel like you might be reliant upon the burn. Finds Incanter's Flow off the top as well to follow through.
Yeah, and I think that Killen knew that this was going to be Deck of Lunacy because of the Astromancer Solarian. It usually is a liability. You need the Pexus Blast to summon a minion a lot of the time if you're playing straight up. But because he played Astromancer Solarian, what this does do is make it so that the minion cards that you get from Deck of Lunacy aren't dead, right? If you get a Commencement, it's just kind of insane because you summon a big, giant Divine Shield taunted spell damage minion that's going to wreak havoc on the board. So I think this was expected. And now we have some potential for fireworks. A lot of the time, unless you get like double Incanter's Flow, it can be hard to kill the Demon Hunter as Mage before they can really get the ball rolling. And so, and also they can reset their life total at pretty much any time once a certain amount of cards are drawn with like Talented Arcanist Moarch and the first Fellscreen Blaster and I-Beam and negate a lot of the burn. So I think that Deck of Lunacy is just a higher win rate way to play when given the choice in this matchup.
Job done.
I mean, we've saw this coming, and it's an episode we've seen play a few times, but it's definitely got an alternative ending almost every single time.
Grand Finale is just insane next turn. He played an elemental.
True.
He actually could have.
Yeah.
He actually could have played two more elementals, but I agree with the Incanter's Flow. Actually, I don't know. He could have set up lethal.
Are you sure?
He could have set up lethal.
Yeah. That's something that not many people think about in terms of grand finale. A lot of times in this.
What have summoned four?
My gosh.
Oh, he knew that in the Grand Slam was going to be his next draw. He wanted board space.
Exactly. You wanted board
It doesn't
space.
matter because 8/8s are better.
You wanted to hit him.
So. Hey, he could have had. It could have been the 2-turn lethal setup because he had the Pexus Blast in hand. If killinallday can kill these 8/8s, or if he can only kill one of the 8/8s, he would have died if he went for 4 of the elementals from Grand Finale. I don't even know what they're called. Spectacular Shiny Dragon? Is that what it's called? Elemental Shiny
You're
Spectacular Dragon?
EJ, you're rehired to Blizzard. Good job. That's exactly what we should call it. All day drawing cards desperately because what the heck can you do in this position?
Oh,
Besides just concede.
They're exploding sparklers.
Yes.
I was close. I was actually incredibly close.
Go on to those game shows where you just guess the answers. I think you'd do quite well. Can you guess the answer to this border state from killinallday? Moarch, Fellscreen Blast does 2 damage to both of those.
Nice. All right.
Sounds like a good start.
Together. Next turn can go Moarch, Talented Arcanist, Throwglaive.
Okay, not 100% dead. Pretty dang close. Is there any reason for Nalguidan to not play in a Grand Slam?
Nope.
Second base. Third base. Safe at home. 5 HP. Turn 6.
Oh!
Oh, okay. Spell
Talented
damage?
Arcanist, Moarg, Ethereal Augmentation, Fellscreen Blast kills the 2 8/8s and a 3/5
Okay, okay.
and heals to full.
Yes, that's huge.
Also
I
necessary.
grow impatient.
Right, because if we don't, we're going to die. So I
Oh,
like
and then-
that.
And then can also go Throwglaive to kill the other two. Because those would deal 6.
3, 5, 6. Do you have the ability to throw grave twice? I think you might be off by 1 mana.
I don't think so.
Oh, no, you're right. Because Fellscreen Blast is 0 mana. So should be able to clear off most of this board. It does cost a lot of resources, but you're okay with that as the Demon Hunter. What's so funny is that these were just 2 cards from Nalguidan's deck.
I know, like, and he had to use his whole hand to clear off the board. He clears the board, though, and heals to nearly full. That's incredibly important.
That's a useless card. Dire Frenzy does not help. Mask of Cthulhu deals double as long as Moarg survives, which it should because it just applies it all at once. So Nalguidan has the board clear and can start pressuring right back. And now Killen finds a way to get Skull into the outcast position. Talented Arcanist gets dumped. Immolation Aura, Illidari Studies. That was not it.
Nope. I mean, has a way to clear off some small boards, but that's about it. And that's both Talented Arcanist gone, and one of the Ethereal Aug Merchants gone. So we'll need to find a discounted Moarg at some point, or Raging Fellscream at some point, in order to have a way to win and get the last Fellscream Blast / I-Beam up to enough damage to actually kill Nalguidan. But not super worried about that. Nalguidan, though, has not picked up the greatest, especially for this matchup, ways to fight back. Expendable Performers is decent, but no way to buff them up. At least in hand. Could potentially be some in deck. Could wipe them away the next turn and turn them into 3/3s.
Always hungry for more.
Okay.
Job done.
Worm Weaver summon Mana Worms, using Overgrowth to get a little bit extra mana for the following turn. Might be relevant. I think it's a little bit greedy to hold on to Overgrowth, hoping that you can get that extra card draw. Killinallday, Illidari Studies, finds an opportunity to play board impact outcast cards. You have Vile Fiend Trainer to build up your own board, Dreadlord's Bite, and Kurt Russell Ash Fallen. Try and pick apart a little bit of what Mage has set up. And in this case, can actually wipe with Immolation Aura and Ash Fallen.
Wait. Okay. The Immolation Aura was bugged from the previous turn. It still said +3 or +2 spell damage from the Talented Arcanist, but it was not. All right.
Okay, Chaos Strike. All right. The Fellscreen Blast number 2 comes into the hand. I mean, one more Moarg and Killen can just do this the natural way. Mage doesn't have a lot of ways to gain life, unless, of course, a spell created by Deck of Lunacy can change that outcome. So there's a Cycle of Hatred. That's an opportunity. You can clean up 2 of these minions and summon a few yourself. There's also the Expendable Acrobats to clear things off. What I think Nalguidan is thinking more than anything is how can I corrupt this Ring Toss, because I'm starting to get to the point where I want to stop the Demon Hunter as much as I want to pressure them. Stop them from playing their cards. Playing cards is kind of like cheating, TJ. That's just not fair. Don't let them play cards.
It's just not fair. All right, so just gonna play it uncorrupted. Could go for a rigged fair game, but usually at this stage, the Demon Hunter will be hero powering your face every turn, or very likely to. Maybe not, because if it's Ice Barrier, it could ruin Killen's breakpoints. Then gonna clear this away.
Enjoy your final moments.
Honestly, I did not know that Expendable Performers and Circle of Hatred had that interaction. I played a lot of Deck of Lunacy. I had no idea.
I never had
I'm gonna be honest.
the ability to do both at the same time in a situation where I felt like I needed to. I usually just like layer them in, right? It's usually like play Ring Toss and then play, Cycle of Hatred, or in this case, the Acrobats. He ends up wiping his own board.
I don't blame him at all for that one. Like, if it's an obvious interaction, cool, but that one is weird. Like, there's no like Hearthstone rule that you could fall back on to determine, right? Because they both have like the same type of
Demons.
TJ. Learning interactions in Hearthstone is kind of like carbon dating. All we can do is use the results and try to extrapolate meaning behind it. It's like, it should basically be this kind of rule set. It's like, the order of the cards being played is probably the reason of how we got here, but no one truly knows the origin story of what the interaction stack looks like in Hearthstone. At least we don't have the confirmation of it. If we do, we need someone from the dev team to tell us what that's the case, because that was silly, but...
I was about to say, wow, what a great play. And then, good thing, right before I saw Nalguidan's facial expression before the board resolved, so I held off on it, and I was like, this is not going to work the way both of us think this is going to work, is it? Yeah. And it did not.
Does get the Astromancer Solarian back and can start putting all the pressure out. But Killen's very close to finishing this out. Just needs to find additional card draw or the Moarg or the card draw. Double jump, which I don't know if there's any Outcast cards left.
There's nothing. No Outcast cards. There is Arrow Merchant Moarg, Blood Mage, Fell Screamer.
Oh no, there's multiple whiffs available for Killing all day. Okay, question. Would you start to pave the way of the situation where you don't get Moarg? Like, what if you started playing Philosophy to get I-Beam into a much more likely position to Outcast, and then you have Il'gynoth plus the Aug Merchant, and then I-Beam, Fellscream, Blast, I-Beam instead? Like, does that get you there? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Grows short.
But you do get two... Okay, so you get 2 turns of hero powering. The question is if Killen should be parting ways with an I-Beam right now. Because if he feels like he needs to... Oh, I guess in this case it's a Fellscream Blast.
Yeah, I don't think he has a way to get the Fellscream Blast up to enough spell damage. And the I-Beam's a little easier, but now it's going to be very tough. Has to weave in some hero powers here and there to try and get this breakpoint down. So maximum damage right now is...
Oh,
12.
Man. Hey, man, hey. Oh, man. Oh.
All right.
Here we
lethal.
go. It's prime time, baby. Astromancer Solarian. Give him some mana back. Evocation. Secrets. Deep freeze.
Okay, that's minions.
Uh-oh.
Hellfire.
Oh, no. Needed that.
I mean, this is Killen's last turn, though. Almost every day of the week. You can't clear this board. You can't even touch this board.
So Nalguidan can restore 2 more mana and play a secret, and that could really mess things up for Killen. I don't think so, though, because I'm not sure what Netherwind Portal can really do. I'm supposed to play Arcane Intellect just to draw cards. Okay. Might pick up another Solarian Prime. Now you're Frenzy the Frog! Okay. I see you, Nalguidan.
Well, he's saying, okay, this is your last turn no matter what. So I'm going to put as much in the way as possible. And
Yeah, much pressure.
Screamer, so.
Tempo Frog. Killen draws the worst card in his deck. The Raging Fell Screamer. Oh no. Beautiful setups from Killen to just give himself the max amount of outs, but back-to-back whiffs leads to a Nalguidan victory.
Yeah.
It'd be so sweet to watch that Frog be the reason why he won, but honestly, it just felt like Killen's deck was just not being cooperative with him, you know? And even if he was setting himself up for the most optimistic scenario, it just didn't pan out.
Well, I mean, Killen did have the ability for like a turn 7 lethal or turn 8 lethal. If those 8/8s weren't in the way. Like, if he wasn't going to just die the very next turn. Because look at this hand. That hand right there. Look at it. It was it was an able to play philosophy away from winning the game. Like, he was
True.
He actually was close to lethal with just 1 or 2 more mana with that opening hand. So his deck was being incredibly cooperative. It's just that Nalguidan's deck was being even more cooperative and forced Killen to have to play defensively for the but there it is again. It's like, let's go. I don't even know if Killen knew how that interaction worked either. He's just like, oh, thank you, Hearthstone, for being the way you are.
And it's so funny because those are 2 Demon Hunter cards. So if anything, the people who play and main Demon Hunter should know that interaction. But because it's so rarely seen, it had to be another class entirely to discover that interaction. Mage getting 2 Demon Hunter spells finds out something that most Demon Hunter players probably don't know.
Yeah.
Last we digress. Go into what is the preparation for game number 3. Actually, I do want to say one thing, is that Nalguidan missing the opportunity to play these giant elementals and end the game right there and then is also something worth noting, that maybe the game shouldn't have gone that long, but
Yeah.
it was never really a bad choice. So
Yeah.
it's all about, was that the best choice?
Yeah. I probably would have gone for the 1,000,000 8/8s, but still won the game in the end. And now Nalguidan's going to move to N'Zoth Paladin. I've been very disappointed with N'Zoth Paladin on broadcast, at least, or watching it in like competitive matches. On ladder, it seems to tear it up. It's a great deck on ladder. Nobody knows you're playing N'Zoth Paladin until you play that first card. They have to assume that you're maybe even some more aggressive variation. Then you just start dropping Dragon Ball Skystalkers and Carousel Griffins on their head. But it just seemed like it's fallen short in these competitive matches. Although it has been drawing bans, so what do I know? But now I'm gonna have to go up against either Rush Warrior or OTK Demon Hunter. OTK Demon Hunter is going to be the choice for Killinallday. You do tend to get off to a little bit of a slower start with the N'Zoth Paladin, though you can have curves that are insane. But this is one of them. 1 drop into Sword of the Fallen into a Secret Synergy 3 drop. I'll take it.
Yeah, honestly, that's pretty much as good as it gets. I can't actually think of a better 1, 2, 3 there for Nalguidan. Especially against the Demon Hunter deck that really wants to take things a little bit slower and punish that the speed of control decks, rather. That isn't named Control Beast with Mindrender or Lucia. Nalguidan finds Knight of Anointment as well to really add additional forms of card draw to his hand. One thing that I do find about N'Zoth Paladin is that I gas out surprisingly easily if I don't end up finding these cards that draw. The Northwatch Commander and the Knight of Anointment. I have actually played a decent amount of this deck because I saw that I was getting some traction on ladder. And just like you, TJ, I feel like either I'm missing something entirely, like I'm mulliganing for the wrong cards, or I'm not prioritizing the right type of early game. But, oh my gosh, Hand of...
You're just not drawing hands like this. That's the problem, Dan.
True. I just realized that there's a player diff, and I'm just not that good at drawing Hand of Adal on turn 2. What is this? All jokes aside, this is a really powerful start, and I feel like there's this awkward mid-game transition for this deck in particular.
Yes.
And that if you falter, just like most mid-range Paladin curve decks, your comeback potential is a lot weaker than it is in other mid-range decks that also try to do the same thing.
Yeah, you're playing board control and trying to build up this aggressive board for the first couple turns, and then when there starts to be like a little bit of board tension, you're just like, all right, drop a Dragon Ball Skystalker. And it just feels a little weird. It's like, well, this is not what I was trying to do for the first few turns, right? But sometimes it really works out, because sometimes that's what you need to kind of break that board tension is just a big threat that's very difficult to remove and swing back. So the follow-up is a little weird. And this may be one of those cases, right? A great curve for Nalguidan, but a couple of awkward draws might stall them out, at least for some time.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? I think a lot of people would say, oh, it can't come back. It's a linear deck. It's fraudulent. It's not that good. I think what Paladin does best is just maintain a lead and snowball advantages. And that's just the type of deck that exists in Hearthstone, particularly because of the attacker's advantage. You can really capitalize and snowball very hard as long as you have that early game curve. And with cards like Sword of the Fallen, despite getting nerfed a while back now, losing a durability charge, it still does a great job of pulling these less efficient cards out of your deck. Let's watch Commander.
A tale of two hands. The opening hand, just so good. This hand, just so bad.
Yeah. That's part of it, right? Because it's like, it just feels like this deck tries to cut a few corners. Because you have this really beautiful, like crazy amount of 1 mana cards in the deck that helps you fill out your curve, and you got ways to bolster it with 2 and 3 mana cards. Then you have like 1 4-cost in Kazakis. You have the Carousel Griffin and the Dragon Ball Skystalkers, and then you just like skip to N'Zoth, and that's your curve. And it's like there's just this really awkward, empty mid game, which feels like you're stuck in these situations where hands can look exactly like this. You draw both extreme sides of the spectrum. And then Killen, I mean, he used a Throatglaive.
I grow
Can just pick apart the board. Has to account for the range of secrets as well, I think, because...
He's looking for the spread right now.
Yeah.
It is double Galloping Savior, double Oh My Yogg. So he tests for Oh My Yogg and now has to know that it is exactly Galloping Savior.
Right.
Wait.
It is not.
No, am I wrong?
In that case, it is Reckoning.
Wait, what?
You're right in that he has 2 Galloping Saviors, but there's a Reckoning in his deck.
Oh, the deck tracker had not shown a Reckoning. I guess it's because it was Pull a Sword of Fallen. All right, my bad. Just a weird interaction.
No worries.
Is it for some reason it shows no second Galloping Savior in the deck? All right.
I think cards like Oh My Yogg also sometimes mess up that deck tracker, because there's been times where like I'm like multitasking or whatever, and then I look at the deck tracker and it says it's eliminated every secret that's possible. It's like, oh, it's none of these secrets. I'm like, but that's impossible because he has a secret still up in play. So which secret is it? I think it's largely due to things like that. Like maybe it checks multiple interactions and it reads it improperly. Either way, we know that there's 2 secrets up and one of them's Galloping Savior now for sure. So Killen can now play around that and just hero power here, avoid proc that Galloping Savior.
Yep, Scalping Savior and Reckoning. But yeah, killinallday's been able to set this up quite nicely. Has 2 skull turns in a row, assuming Oh My Yogg doesn't come out at some point in between. Kazakis is a decent draw to try and fill the curve, but it just feels a little bit slow, just given the circumstance, right? Because he's going to be spending a turn building the golem and then a turn playing the golem, and then needs a whole nother turn to start attacking with the golem/golems. And in the meantime, Killen's going to be doing some very powerful things, drawing a bunch of discounted cards.
Yeah, we talk a little bit about Nalguidan's win percentage with Spell Mage. being above 70%. Killinallday with his OTK Demon Hunter is behind him very closely at 14-6 coming into the series. Obviously has lost
You're paying.
since then. Has also put on quite an impressive series of performances with this game. Nalguidan drawing, Moark, Fell Scream, second skull. Actually, skull number 3.
Skull number 3. Do you ever really need the third skull? Yeah, you do.
I mean, it's not needed. I think if there's anything in this deck, it's quite a lot of resources are quite expendable. That's not Il'gynoth, so it feels like you don't need that one. But is it much appreciated? Absolutely. Drawing cards as well for Nalguidan right now, trying to figure out if he wants to just eliminate this Moark. He can get rid of it just through a conviction.
Yeah, it's not really what you want to be doing with conviction, but maybe he feels like he doesn't really have a choice after seeing a skull. If you leave a mark on the board, you could just die. Oh, Blackjack Stunner. All right. That's actually incredible. I think so.
Use it right now.
Making a Moark more expensive?
Sort of?
Heck yeah.
Opponent has ways to make it cheaper.
The door hit you.
Yeah, but only one.
I like not having to use conviction here, that's for sure. Yeah, it's a good play. It's a good play. I think it's just one of these things where it feels like it doesn't change too much of what Demon Hunter wants to be doing anyways.
Yeah.
I think I could be biased by the fact that I know Killinallday has a 0-mana Moark. I think that's entirely it. I felt like it wasn't doing anything because I already seen the discount. Philosophy to copy it as well. Oh my goodness. Just needs one just needs that one copy of Il'gynoth and this game is over.
Yep.
Can we get it though? We've seen some bottom deck Il'gynoths crush the dreams of Demon Hunters. And that's the name of the game. You can feel like you're in control. Everything is fine and dandy, and then all of a sudden, your opponent loads up a huge power amount on the board. Also, Nalguidan has 2 convictions. How much damage is this with the Mask of Cthulhu? Oh, he can't play both. If you could play both, all of a sudden,
wait, he can play one and then Mask of
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu? That's 6 plus 6, 12 plus 9, 21. He's 1 damage off.
You can also set up a sticky board, right? You could play Dragon Maul, Skystalker, and then like Oh My Yogg, try to disrupt a little bit of the Demon Hunter. But how much time do you really feel like you have to do something like that?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
He could go like double conviction right now, push the damage, and then set up for mask lethal. Next turn.
Okay. I think I like that. I think I like that because it gets the conviction damage in now. I don't think this game's going to go on much longer. I think it's determined.
Whoa!
Turn 2. He tried to sequence it because he didn't want the buff to go onto the Babbling Book. Completely understandable. Looks like he's going to do a little bit of a halfway play. The conviction, setting up a board that's sturdy. Hoping that it's enough, but more importantly, playing Oh My Yogg to disrupt things. Killinallday does not find Il'gynoth. Skull is so far out of position.
Do you
It's not entirely
ever,
possible for him to get this done.
in a million years, play around Mask of Cthulhu? I don't think so.
And let alone 2. Oh My Yogg transforms Spectral Sight into basically the same card. Although I guess if he had the choice, Swindle to draw a minion guaranteed for the Il'gynoth, that would have been sweet.
Oh, he's gonna be at 11. Oh my gosh. Oh no, he's gonna go for Fellscreen Blast. Okay. Yeah, he kind of has to. Sorry, I forgot the Fellscreen Blast was tucked away in the corner.
Time grows short.
He goes back basically to full. second Moarg for 0 mana, trying to stall this one out. Alexstrasza comes into the hand. Nalguidan does have the ability for Mask of Cthulhu and Conviction once more, but he doesn't have the minions set up for it. And thus, we start the conversation once more about how this deck can be clunky at times. Just look at how everything is panned out. Despite having all these cheap cards in the deck, somehow we've stumbled onto a hand that's way too expensive to play. But it is what it is.
I mean, he's got to find time to play all this stuff no matter what, so might as well just get the most awkward one out of the way.
Right. It's also efficient to remove the Moarg that way. We've seen it happen a couple of times now. You just Conviction to press in here. He does. Has the added benefit if Killen needs to swing with his own hero, has to take additional damage. Killen finds Spectral Sight, drawing 2 out of his 8 cards. He has a 33% chance to hit the Il'gynoth this turn. If you include the 9th draw being the Spectral Sight, does not get it.
Kind of crazy that he's had this much time, though. I guess that's what the deck does best, but...
Aura. Skull, just to naturally draw it, I like it a lot. And with that, virtually guaranteed to hit the Il'gynoth, finally lands it.
Not many cards left.
And if you're out Nalguidan, you just gotta feel hopeless. It feels like you can't do anything in this position whatsoever.
Yep.
He doesn't have another Oh My Yogg left, and even if he did, Killen has ways to play around it.
Yep, just gonna hope that the breakpoints don't work out, but Killen has double Moarg for free. Talented Arcanist, Spellscreen Blast. Triple Moarg for free.
Excellently done. Timed perfectly on the 30th draw, even accounting for the possibility that Il'gynoth was the very last card in this deck. Killen's gonna go up 2-1 in this series. Put himself on match point. 72 damage. Enough to kill Nalguidan twice over and then some. As Nalguidan not able to stop the aggression from the, or not enough aggression to stop the Paladin, excuse me. At one point was 1 damage short. And that's funny because I don't know if Killen recognizes how close that was, because it's difficult.
I don't think he does. Yeah. There's just no way that you'd ever expect Mask plus Conviction in that case. Maybe expected double Conviction, right? And I don't know, maybe like a little bit less burn, like double Conviction Fireball or something along those lines. Like he probably suspected that he could be in danger, but maybe not like 1 damage off. But yeah, close series, or close game, another close game, honestly. It feels like the series has just been back and forth, close games. killinallday does just have the Rush Warrior left available. Nalguidan, N'Zoth Paladin, and still his own OTK Demon Hunter in order to find a win with. So, and keep in mind, as a reminder, we talked about it earlier on in the series, but stuff on the line for both players. killinallday looking to try and actually qualify for playoffs, needs a good performance, needs to, multiple things to go his way, and Nalguidan hunting for that 2nd seed, which would give him a bye in the first round of playoffs. So a win here would be a pretty big deal for both killinallday and Nalguidan.
All right, well, we're gonna go into the Rush Warrior for the last game. killinallday has the entire package that works. There's been discussions about whether or not this deck needs a little bit more innovation. Some people are arguing that the top end doesn't exactly feel like it's, you know, the core to the deck identity. It's just giving you a little bit extra burst, but it just feels like that's sort of the MO right now, which is play a fast deck to get things started and get tempo accelerated. Just have some burst at the top end with Troublemaker and Alexstrasza. But more importantly, we'll see whether or not things like the Grandmasters will make a big deal. It's not in every deck list of Warrior, but when it does end up hitting the board, it's really powerful when the situation lines up for it. And from Nalguidan's perspective, he still has the OTK Demon Hunter that he has to get through. And this could be a series that's determined based off of that alone, right? Whether or not OTK Demon Hunter can get a win.
Yeah, kind of crazy to think because OTK Demon Hunter just feels like it's been dominating over the past couple of weeks, but obviously has some fail-safes built in, right? Can beat itself sometimes, which is necessary. Now I'm going to go with the N'Zoth Paladin first, and this is a matchup where I don't think the Grandmasters are particularly good because you can just play a big minion in front of it and say, all right, have fun with your 3/7. But you can kind of get ahead of them in tempo. You mentioned earlier, and we talked about how Paladin doesn't come back on the board very well outside of specifically animated Broomstick. They're reliant on generating that tempo and then staying ahead. And Rush Warrior is great against that type of deck because they can 2-for-1 for days, as long as they, have a decent start to the game. And I think this is one of them. Or Killing All Day has double Rakara, conditioning with bumper cards already in hand. This is pretty decent.
Yeah, it's a recipe for success so far, and it feels like a very good setup to answer a lot of what Paladin can do. That being said, pretty decent stuff coming into Nalguidan's hand on that first day of school. Killen finds Blademaster Samro as well. This is potentially really good stuff coming out. Killen has the opportunity to play Rakara and the bumper cards right now.
Not both.
Sorry, or the bumper car.
Yeah. They don't line up really well though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. See players tunnel on conditioning after 5 a lot. I mean, it doubles the value just by waiting a couple turns. But the way this opening hand was kind of panning out for Killen is didn't have great ways to kind of fight back. And so going for this gives multiple options for Killen. If Nalguidan went for heavier development with first day of school, he could play the Blademaster Samro as early as next turn. If Nalguidan had a smaller turn of development, then Rakara would absolutely, punish that type of play since it is quite buffed. Let me look at the secret that was pulled. It is Reckoning again. Wow. He's 1 Reckoning in the deck and 2 Omayaks, 2 Galloping Saviors, and he's pulled a Reckoning with the Sword of the Fallen first in both games.
The only clean answer I see to this board is Blademaster Samro. Killen could end up looking for another alternative through the Athletic Studies, but Athletic Studies might get stopped by Omayag.
What now?
Seems like Killen agrees. Samro chopping everything down. Nalguidan draws the Dragon Ball Sky Stalker and overloaded by 1 finds Northwatch Commander right on curve. Is there anything else that he's considering besides that right now? No, I don't think so. Wait.
Yeah.
So, funny enough, too, the Samro played around the Reckoning, which was a very nice way for Killen to stick this board as well.
Yeah, the only issue, if you can even call it an issue, is that Killing All Day didn't test for any secrets that turn. So he still does not have a read on what it could be. But sometimes that can be a benefit, right? Especially with Sword of the Fallen. Taking like this crazy guess as to what the first secret could be, as opposed to when your opponent has 2 secrets up and it's much easier for you to kind of dissect each one. So this will play into the Reckoning and it'll die, which is good because it only had 1 health remaining. So I like this.
That's right. Even had an option to play around Galloping Savior as well, but would require him to use the coin. I think that he has bigger plans for that, at least at the moment. Nalguidan finds another first day at school. His hand is looking quite awkward. Find some really nice stuff. Bladed Cultist, just good for the stat cost. But a Blackjack Stunner makes its way into the hand once more for Nalguidan.
I don't know if tempo is good with Blackjack Center, but at the same time, these are two pretty high-value minions to put back in the hand. Parade Leader's high-value minion on the board, though. Grandmasters Hammer, I'm not too worried about. So if you, I think he can find a better spot for it. But maybe he's worried about just his secrets going away and not having an opportunity to play it. So might as well just get the tempo out there while he can.
You're not that sharp. I smell blood.
Everything looks up to come.
Maximum board pressure. Cycles out the Crimson Sigil Runner, so he gets to keep Conviction in the hand. I mean, this is a board that could easily get out of control. Kind of crossing his fingers for no second conditioning of some sort or an Overlord Ronthok, knowing the power of all these small rushers that can flood the board state. So Killen has a couple of different ways that he can go about this turn. The first is just play a 5-cost minion and try to let his opponent deal with the ramifications of it. You know, there's still 5 power, so if you drop in an Ogremancer, it's still tough for Nalguidan to immediately deal with it unless he has to part ways with other cards. Has a Parade Leader, so he can stack the Dark Moon Riders as well. Could even play Ricard to get a favorable trade. Several ways to slice this up here. I think I just want to remove as much power as possible to stop any conviction pushes. I think one of the hardest things to deal with is if Paladin starts using conviction and then sets up, say like a Corrupted Griffin, for example, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is just way too much power out of nowhere.
Yeah. Okay. This is a nice little middle ground, though. He was kind of caught off guard by the Galloping Savior. He coined to try and test for Oh My Yogg, but then didn't really have a reliable way to clear Galloping Savior without using too many resources.
Hello?
So now it's going to start to fall a little far behind, but does have double Rakara if there's a board that sticks, but honestly just a bunch of peanuts in hand and nothing really juicy to have stick on board and then use Ricard to follow up.
Well, Parade Leader does allow killinallday to answer the board, but it's not very clean.
I wonder.
Trying to think if there's anything else as well that I'm not considering, if it's like using the broomstick on other minions in the hand. Important to note, by the way, Parade Leader also benefits from the rush from the animated broomsticks, so we can use it to trade in. This just seems like the best play. Now Killen's almost out of resources. This is starting to get to the point where Nalguidan is just going to outvalue the warrior. He's very close to it.
Yeah, there's just not enough burst damage in Rush Warrior. You have ETC and Alistraza, and when you're having to fight for board aggressively, you can't afford to hold on to resources with ETC. Alistraza is usually just a finisher and can't be used as kind of like this setup card. So Nalguidan can probably just play it simple here and just go for Dragon Maw Skystalker and Knight of Anointment.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
May the light grant you peace.
I'm not sure if there's a reason to get... Oh, well, second conviction. Now maybe there is a reason to get a little bit fancy. You go wide on board, set up more sticky minions that could be convictioned next turn to try and push.
I like it. I like Murder McGurgle here as well.
Okay.
Spreading it out. Okay, this was very deliberate from Nalguidan to make sure that he has multiple threat sources. I like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
a chance
look
at
that.
conviction on the Murger McGurgle had like what seemed appealing. But maybe didn't want. No, it's deliberate because not that he wants the conviction on the 4-1, but they said he wants to guarantee the conviction on the attacking minion. Because he plays Murger, there's a chance that conviction goes on both minions that can't attack this turn, and then he wastes the damage. So, yeah, that was nicely spotted because I kind of was tunneling on trying to get it on the Murger McGurgle, but having it be able to just attack that turn is much more beneficial.
Yeah, it's true. Getting a double dip on it, so it makes a lot of sense there. The additional benefit, too, is that by spreading it out, makes it a lot trickier for Killen to deal with it. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 3 is 13, plus 6, 19. Not quite, but can deal with the board pretty easily through that Broomstick and the Dragon Ball Skystalker, and can push that damage.
I think he just
And
sets
set-
it up, right?
Yeah, just sets it up to end the game. The animated Broomstick comes through once more, showing you why it is considered to be one of those powerful cards at 1 mana, potentially ever. It's just such a sick card for you to try and answer the board state. And killinallday, even if he spent all of his mana with the Troublemaker, clearing off the board, let's say in this world where he was able to stabilize everything, but just died to the swing of the Sword of the Fallen or the Alexstrasza on 9. So we ourselves a tied series, Paladin able to answer that Warrior, Paladin showing you why. It's a deck that's still hard to deal with, right? If you're trying to fight a little bit more honestly without a lack of big AoE spells in that way, Secret Paladin can really dominate. Like this N'Zoth package can really dominate that early game and make it so difficult for the Rush Warrior to answer. That being said, it did feel like what was a promising hand from Killen just kind of fizzled out. I was expecting a lot more from the Rush Warrior, especially with the start that killinallday had. It just felt like it kind of got met with nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that can be kind of an awkward situation if you're, by using the conditioning early in the game like that to try and set up for powerful early game turns, if you end up not finding the powerful early game turns, and you lose a lot of the value that he could have gotten to swing the boards in the future. And Ogremancer being not very good in that matchup showed itself through a lot in that situation because Killen had a buffed Ogremancer in hand that was never played, even up until the very end of the game. It's just not good enough to warrant. He's expecting other matchups for that card to be good in. Even like Libra Paladin, it'd be fantastic in Rogue, Spell Mage, etc. So, not the matchup he was trying to hit, quite obviously. But Demon Hunter, Rush Warrior can be good against Demon Hunter. Sometimes they can just keep making big boards over and over again. And it's not like they do it all in one big push. Sometimes they're just playing like a big thing every turn or a couple big things every turn. Just 2 Immolation Orbs is not enough to do it at all.
Now!
Well, either way, a matchup that I think a lot of people who bring the Warrior are hoping they get the win, doesn't get it done, and now killinallday has to win versus OTK Demon Hunter. As we go into the mulligans here, keeping only athletic studies. Now, did he 4-keep?
Pretty good hand. Doesn't have a skull, but has multiple ways to hit skull. I'm not opposed.
killinallday's athletic studies finds all the legendaries that you could ask for. Overlord Runthok just trying to overwhelm your opponent. That is one way that the Rush Warrior seeks to get that advantage. Just pile on the stats, ensure that you're so far ahead of the power curve that your opponent's removal can't line up cleanly into it. So much so that I like this early tempo play from Rikara. Force Nalguidan to deal with it, otherwise it's just going to be a minion that gets too big. But the athletic studies aggression has already been stopped. And Killen has nothing playable right now. Okay, finds ETC.
Probably just tempo it out. At this point, it's probably going to get in more damage just by attacking for one each turn than it would if you just kept holding on to resources.
Right, you have to assume your rushers don't get many targets to rush into, so you can't combo that damage. And then second, it's, you know, Nalguidan will be removing all the rush minions that survive, so it's not like you can stack the rush minions and preemptively get ahead of the ETC.
Okay. That's a way to get through Sword Eater. Unless he wants to play Spectral Sight. I think he can just take this in stride, heal back up to full, get rid of the minion. Yeah. I don't think there's a reason to just try and aggressively draw, especially since he'd be leaving a Sword Eater up on board. Might make it even tougher to deal with an Ogremancer that would come down on 5, which is likely to be Killing All Day's next play.
Yeah, that's true. Something that's probably in the back of his mind, and it's about to become reality. As Killen has multiple things that he could play this turn. I don't think Runthok is the answer. Eventually, your opponent does play smaller minions. Thanos, of course, being one of them. Fell Scream. The Fell Scream, he can also rush into as well. Okay, so Nalguidan picks up the Il'gynoth. That's a card that he doesn't need for now. Now he's just kind of stuck in a situation where this Ogremancer is very annoying to deal with. And he just has to kind of pick up the pieces and let those 2/2 start summoning. They pretty happy to see that. Nods, recognizes. Great to see Nalguidan playing spells into his anti-spell minion.
And this is going to get awkward for Nalguidan. One, he doesn't have Immolation Aura to try and have a hope of cleaning up the Ogremancer. Two, Il'gynoth will forever block the left side of his hand from being able to outcast Skull, which means that he would be forced to play it from the right-hand side. Now, he does have Illidari Studies to try and fetch him, but this game is just going to get a little bit awkward. And it doesn't look like it's going to get much better because Killing All Day can just play a single giant minion every turn and also have ETC and Ogremancer that are just protected on board. This is quite insane.
It's starting to get kind of nutty because the Runthoks, the double Runthok buffs and back-to-back turns, assuming Killing All Day can get that, will make the Troublemakers at 10 health. And that's a break point that not many decks are equipped to deal with, especially one that's not dealing with hard removal. That is one thing that Demon Hunter does lack, which is just straight up destroy a minion effects. They usually try to pile it up with a bunch of damage or AoE. It does seem to be a limitation of what that class can do. Oh, Killen without an attack on Runthok. He thought about this. He deliberated this play for almost a minute, TJ. What's he thinking about? The 7 health breakpoint to keep it alive. And this is something that Killen should know because he's also a master of OTK Demon Hunter, which incidentally makes him very effective at playing around its combos.
Yeah, it's Talented Arcanist Immolation Aura. That's like the simplest breakdown, right? Because that deals 6 points of damage. So he would force Nalguidan to make the decision of killing the Runthok or killing the Ogremancer. If he had that with the weapon swing. So, and now it does miss 2 damage as well as miss a buff potentially. And it doesn't play around the breakpoint of like Ethereal Aug Merchant plus Talented Arcanist Immolation Aura or Moarg plus Talented Arcanist or Moarg plus more Talented Arcanist plus Immolation Aura. So didn't pay off.
Yeah, it definitely looked cool. Do you wonder if it was almost a little bit too cute? You know, the 7 health breakpoint, the more you think about it, makes a lot of sense. Another
That is sick.
ethereal aug merchant so he can play the Skull of Gul'dan.
Yeah, he needed a dumpable card like that turn in order to have an opportunity.
Fell Screamer comes into the hand. Killing it all day. An audible what? Draw a 1 mana card. How come that didn't happen to me earlier? Slowly but surely, Nalguidan's piecing it together.
Yep. These troublemakers could pose a problem, though.
Absolutely, staying true to their name. 6 power represented, or 6 damage represented right now with 12 set up.
You're in my school now.
Nalguidan's actually not
See the
that
shaking
far
off. Yeah, Nalguidan
Nalguidan.
not like this position.
Well, I mean, his double jump has a 50% chance to pick up the next skull, though he is staring at lethal being represented on board. But he also has like double Fell Screen Blast. He has another Immolation Aura. Moargs. I mean, he'd have plenty of ways to clear. Oh, it's the Philosophy. Yeah, there were only 2 Alcar Scouts left.
Yep. Kurt Russ Ashfallen, is that applicable here in this situation? Sort of, but it doesn't solve the big problem in the grand scheme of things right now, which is Nalguidan does not have stabilization tools at the moment to deal with the troublemaker.
Yeah.
Incidentally, the way troublemakers or ruffians come out ends up protecting it from cards like Kurt Russ, Ashfallen, and now as a result, Nalguidan just hoping, praying that he's alive. No Alex Straza off the top to just end things. That being said, look at the hand of Nalguidan. I mean, it's
only 24 damage.
It's a lot of damage still.
I wonder.
Yeah, it does give him the flexibility of using like some of these Moargs defensively with a Fell Screen Blast. Because only one of these Moargs is discounted from Raging Fell Screamer. None of them were discounted from Skull, I don't believe, which means that he can just play 3, can't play Philosophy in a 4th.
Okay.
And
If any of these minions, if both of these minions survive, TJ. Oh! Okay. Oh my goodness. 3. So you said 24 because the Moarg that doubles, quadruples, and then 8x's the Fell Screen Blast. Not enough.
I grow impatient.
And I don't think Nalguidan has many hits off the Illidari studies, unless I'm mistaken. I-Beam? But then, does he have enough mana to play everything?
No.
Right, because the Fell Screamer's discounting the Moarg to 0. It's not a permanent discount. Skull of Gul'dan.
Skull could hit. Nothing of note. Could hit Ethereal Aug Merchant's second Fell Screen Blast, but there wouldn't be like any like lethal outs, right? But there could be a way if he hits Ethereal Aug Merchant to be able to dump one. I mean, he could just go a lot of Moargs and Immolation Aura. Okay, this is cool.
It's not optimal. He's using a lot of his combo potential. Finds a way to keep the game going. Great spot from Nalguidan to clear the board. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That's a full ability to wipe the board and threaten Nalguidan once more, put him in a situation for match point once again.
I wonder.
Guess from Killen's mind, there's a little bit of discussion internally about what's the cards he wants to play because he does have the Athletic Studies discount. So it's not like he can play his whole hand.
Yeah, he can go run Thack. Actually, he can play the whole hand. Oh no, he can't.
Yeah, he's off by one.
Because if the imprisoned Gnarg counted as a demon before, then he could have. Because then it would have been bumper cart and imprisoned Gnarg would have discounted it, but just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, just a little off. Acidic Swamp Ooze.
So there's a Therial Aug Merchant and still a
Poor warlock.
Chaos Strike. There's another Fellscreen Blast still left.
Yeah.
Aldraki Warblades as well.
Yeah, but now we're going to start drawing a fatigue with that skull, and we'll be taking 3 damage from that by the time he gets the combo up because he takes 1 damage now and then 2 damage on the following turn. So he's working with 6 life.
Not many cards left.
Oh, doesn't find the Aldraki Warblades, and I think that settles it. Great positioning by Killing All Day, by the way, minimizing the effects of Fellscreen Blast. So I think that's going to do it here. Nalguidan, another great finish, top 8. Yet another week where it feels like he just gets stopped here. And Killing All Day is going to be able to take the series 3-2. Off of
He was
some
alive.
very careful, methodical calculations.
A year.
And that's going to do it. 3-2, Killen advances to play Luna. In the final week of Season 1 here in Grandmasters, get a chance to keep that playoff dream alive. You can see what it means to him. It's a close series. It looked like there was a lot of opportunities for mistakes to cost either player a series. But in the end, TJ, what do you think was the big deciding factor there?
Honestly, I can't even tell you. I think that just finding like creative spots in OTK Demon Hunter, since it did seem to come down to OTK Demon Hunter, was the difference maker. But I also thought that Nalguidan, with the resources that he was given, actually found creative ways to still give himself outs, like the clear with the single Moarg, Immolation Aura, second Moarg, Fellscreen Blast, to heal out of range of like Alexstrasza top deck, but also like build a board and still hold on to enough resources to possibly have a chance to still lethal. I think both players played incredibly well. Maybe it just came down to some slight lineup differences, and that's it. The token Druid, having some good matchups across the board might be the difference maker. But it is a big deal, right? Nalguidan now will end with 18 points. Still has the tiebreaker over Luna. Luna currently has a guaranteed 18 points as well.